and you can quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. Yeah, yeah. There's no way. There's no way.
I set the bar really low at the NBA predictions.
I don't think all Mavs fans look into the stats like I do.
It's not the great value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong.
I don't know if Nick Nurse is the coach for the Raptors. I don't know if he's the reason why they won the 2019 championship. I feel like that was more of a team effort.
The Mavs cannot say we do not miss Seth Curry shooting threes.
This questions the firing of Dwayne Casey, who I think is a very underrated coach.
To me, the Capitals really pushed all their chips for this season.
Hello, I'm Mike Grimes, and you've been listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the Week. Make sure to check out all our previous videos and make sure to follow our Twitter account for when those videos release. But today we're going to talk about the NHL and the All-Star Game. Specifically, we're going to start with the rosters, but then we saw the jerseys, and there's only a Western and Eastern jersey. Not sure how that works, but let's just go through the roster, and we have some questions, of course. That's why we're making this video. So once again, I'm joined by Austin, the man that bet against Tom Brady, even though that's not NHL. But let's just start with the Atlantic Division. And speaking of Austin, we have the Bruins, who Jan Olmark was selected, and Pastrnak. And then you have Sabres, Tage Thompson, Red Wings, Dylan Larkin, Florida Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk, and then Montreal Canadiens, Nick Suzuki, Ottawa Senators, Brady Tkachuk, and then Tampa Bay Lightning had Nikita Kucherov, Andrei Vasilevsky, and then the Maple Leafs have Mitchell Marner and Austin Matthews. There were 3 fan-voted players, and that was Pastrnak, Austin Matthews, and Tampa Bay's Andrei Vasilevsky. So, Austin, how do you feel about this roster?
I don't know. I'm kind of confused about this whole system overall. There's East and West jerseys, but there's division. They do it by division. So I don't know how. Like if a West division plays a West division, what happens? East plays East. I don't really know if they're gonna have are they gonna have second jerseys for each All-Star team? I don't really know. It should be fun watching the game, but remarking to these teams, I mean, Boston, one of the best starts in NHL history, only has 2 All-Stars, which I find a little bit surprising. I don't really know how the vote worked because I've seen some players get more or less votes and still make it. For example, Austin Matthews, I believe, got less votes than Cole Caulfield, at least on Twitter, and then Austin Matthews made it over him. I don't really know. I mean, I'm really happy guys like Tage Thompson made it. He is very, very deserving. Same thing with Kucherov and a lot of the other guys that made it. But I'm a little bit confused about others like Dylan Larkin. Even Nick Suzuki, because I felt like there's more deserving All-Stars on other teams. How do you feel about the fact that they're doing one player per team?
Yeah, so I wasn't sure about that until you told me before we started recording. I only thought the MLB was the only team that did it. I understand why they do it, just because they want all the teams represented. But because like in the NFL, you'll usually have like 7 from like the number 1 team. We've seen it before, and then there's none from like the Texans.
Do you think that kind of takes away from the award or the nomination? Because if you're not making it, even though you're better than some of the players that do make it, doesn't that kind of make it to where it's not really a reliable mark to say, hey, the best players in the league are here? Or is it just some of the best players and some representation from other teams?
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about. I can see what you're saying, and I would agree. I would also say like the other way with like the fan vote, which we saw with like the Avalanche. When you're on TV more, I think when the fans are voting, they'll be like, oh, that guy's really good. But they're not getting exposed as much as like another team that's not being showcased as much. Like, because I believe the TV schedules come out beforehand and they don't really switch. So if, for example, I think the Islanders, like people were expecting them to be good this upcoming year and they haven't done their best, So they're not playing well, but a team in comparison, like the Bruins were good, but now they're playing incredible. I'm trying to think. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's a
Yeah.
point where you want the other teams to get noticed, which I understand why there's only do one per team.
It's like Seattle, who only has one All-Star. They're very high. They're the number one team in their division. They're the second team in the West behind the Stars. And that I know we're kind of skipping around here, but the number 1 and number 2 seed in the West currently, which are the Stars and the Kraken, combined have 2 All-Stars, which means 1 per team, which is the same as the worst teams in the league. I don't get it. There's Jake Ottinger who didn't make it. There's a lot of guys for Seattle who didn't make it. Pavelski, another guy for the Stars. I mean, I don't really understand what logic went into picking 1 per team when a great team like these two, number 1 and number 2 seed right now, if this playoff started today, and we're already more than halfway through the year, are this underrepresented.
Yeah, the Kraken is a great example. Yeah, I just couldn't think of everything, so thank you for saving me with the Kraken. And I also have a thing about the fan vote. Why is it just 3? Like, I get not doing all of them, and they have the like NHL personnel select players from each team, and then you only have 3 for the fan vote. Like, I just don't get why not 6.
Well, it's 6 for conference because there's 3 per division.
Okay.
But it's I kind of get your point, but also it's really the fact that when you do take away from the fact that, hey, it's not just the best players going, it's the best player on each team and all this other stuff, it kind of hurts the fan vote. Because think about it, a guy like Pastrnak, one of the best players in the league, may win the Hart as like the MVP. He's playing that good. Was a fan vote selection? Like, you have to vote him in. Like, you don't have a choice, really. Like, he should have already been on the team. He should not be fringe guys, because there's a potential there that one of the best players in the league just plain out misses it, because we have Boston also has the best goalie in the league. So the guy who's going to win the Vezina probably if the season ended today, and the guy who may win the Hart if the season ended today, those are on the same team. So what happens at that point? You're going to neglect one of the best players in the league and pray the fans fix your already broken system. The fans have to correct the system by voting Pastrnak. You can't vote really for your favorite player, because if you don't vote Pastrnak, I mean, just imagine how much of a joke the All-Star game would be if even like Pasternak's missed no games this year, or if he has missed one, he missed 1. So that's not the excuse for why he didn't make the All-Star game by selection. It's because he has too good of a team. I don't really get it. They're banking on the fact that the fans just make the right choice, and that's kind of why I see a lot of people saying that the fan vote was rigged. You know, I wouldn't be against that belief necessarily, because if it wasn't, and you just fully voted against Pasternak's not getting in, imagine that. That'd be like Luka missing the All-Star game because he you go.
Well, and like another example, if I know we're skipping around, Pacific Division, it looked like the fan voted players. One of them was Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, another one of the best players in the league. Yep, he was a fan
And
vote.
yeah, and like it seems like they picked 1 from each team, so you're going to pick McDavid. But now
he is better technically, but Draisaitl is a top 5 forward in the league. So to say that he doesn't deserve to be an All-Star game just because he has another great teammate doesn't really make sense. I mean, again, going back to NBA, I know Luka wasn't a great example because he doesn't have a competent teammate really to put on that same level.
Could say Shea.
Well, no, because Shea, again, 1 player for each team, so Shea's going to make it.
Oh, okay, my bad.
So I'm thinking of, like, if you go back to those Heat days, only LeBron makes it, not Wade or Bosh. Or you go back to even those Cavs days, Kyrie doesn't make it because you have LeBron. Or even when AD was healthy, Anthony Davis just doesn't make the All-Star team or you're praying that he gets a fan vote because LeBron's on the team. It makes it to where you cannot just make an All-Star team. There's only 2 ways to make it. You either have to be the best player. You have to be the best player on your team, or you just have to pray that the fans choose you. And you can't always be the best player on your team, no matter how good you are. And this is the Pastrnak top 5 forward. Same thing with Draisaitl. They're not playing like the best player on their team, but that's not because they're playing bad. They're actually playing Like they could win the Hart, like they could win the MVP. They are on the MVP top 10, but they're not making it because of weird reasons. I think we can continue, and you can list out some of the other All-Star players.
Yeah, I was just pulling that list up. We have the Metropolitan Hurricanes, Andrei Svechnikov, Columbus Blue Jackets, Johnny Gaudreau, New Jersey Devils, Jack Hughes, New York Islanders, Brock Nelson, Ilya Sorokin, Rangers, Igor Shesterkin, Artemi Panarin, Adam Fox, Philadelphia Flyers, Kevin Hayes, Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby, and then Capitals, Ovechkin. One thing they did get right, which is he wasn't a fan vote, was Jack Hughes. He's been incredible for this young team like the Devils, who I didn't really expect much from him, and he's a former number one overall pick, and he's been playing well. And so has Panarin. And then, of course, you have some great goalies just in New York with Sorokin and Shesterkin. Didn't Shesterkin, or was it Sorokin that won the Vezina last year? Shesterkin. Okay.
Sorokin's been really good, though, this year. And I just realized something. Of the top teams in the league, I'd go top 5, maybe, where you would have Boston, obviously. Then you have Carolina, New Jersey, and then Toronto, and then, actually a lot of the best teams in the league. But we just go the second and third best team in the East, which is the Devils, and Carolina's above them. But Carolina Devils, those are the 2 and 3 seed in the East. They both have one player making it. So if you go top 3 in each side, you don't have many All-Star appearances. I mean, you go Vegas. Vegas has one All-Star appearance person, and they're the 3rd seed in the West. Oh no, they're the 4th seed. They're the 4th seed in the West. The Winnipeg got 2, but they're the 3 seed. But you go to all the best teams in the league have no more than 2 All-Stars. Besides, if they're in a very good market or they have really popular players, because you have Toronto, who has 2, Boston has 2, but you have a team like the Colorado Avalanche right now, who I don't think are in a playoff spot, but I will check. They may be slightly in one. No, I'm right. They are out of a playoff spot. Playoff start today. Colorado is not not a playoff team. 4 All-Stars. And then you go the 2 seed in the East, 1 All-Star. 3 seed in the East, 1 All-Star. 1 seed in the West, 1 All-Star. 2 seed in the West, 1 All-Star. They add up to a team that's not in the playoffs. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. I think that, and I think you would agree, team performance matters to All-Star selection. Like, even if you have great players on your team, if you're not performing, you're not really an All-Star. Because it's not contributing to anything. And I think if you don't value success or winning, I mean, why wouldn't you go to bolster your Hall of Fame chances to go to a really bad team and just be an All-Star for them without having to put up the same stats as Pastrnak to even get a fan vote?
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing. And I also think, like with All-Star, like you said, Maple Leafs and Avalanche, they're well-marketed teams, which I think does play a part into like affecting the fan vote, because the fan vote was for the I believe it's Central or
it's the Central. Of the Central, there's 2 that
that are Avalanche,
and that's the same thing with I believe the Metropolitan. Yeah, Adam Fox and Panarin both made it for the Rangers. That's New York. It's New York. Like, those are just teams that are popular. You go to Pacific, 2 of them are for Edmonton. Another team that's on the cusp of missing the playoffs because Edmonton's a popular team because of McDavid and all the they like you said, they get a lot of airtime. They get a ton of airtime because they have McDavid.
Yeah, I would agree. But now, what were you gonna add?
The only division that had 3 different players from 3 different teams was the Atlantic. And that's mainly because the players that you had to put in, it's Pasternak, Austin Matthews, and Vasilevsky. Like, you can't ignore those guys, so they're going to make it. But what were you saying? You want to continue?
I was going to move on to the Central Division where
Yep.
we have Clayton Keller from the Coyotes, Blackhawks, Seth Jones, Avalanche, Kel McCarr, Mikko Rantanen, Nathan McKinnon, Dallas Stars, just Jason Robertson, Minnesota Wild, Kirill Kaprizov, Nashville Predators, Saros, St. Louis Blues, Vladimir Tarasenko, and then you have Morrissey and Hellebuck from the Jets. And I was like upset Jake Ottinger wasn't on because Jake Ottinger has really bailed out the Stars in some games, especially against New York as of late. And when the offense was struggling, Jake Ottinger was playing incredible. But like you said, Hellebuck and Saros have been really good this year.
Yeah, it's tough. You help lead yourself as one of the best goalies in the league, help lead your team to the number one seed in your conference, and you're not an all-star. I my faith in the system is non-existent.
That's fair. And so I think we can move on. I believe we have two more. No, we have one more division left. And that's the Pacific Division. Ducks, Troy Terry, Calgary Flames, Kadri, Edmonton Oilers, McDavid, Draisaitl, Skinner, and Kevin Fiala. Then Sharks, Eric Carlson, Beniers from Seattle Kraken, former number one overall pick, Vancouver Canucks, Pedersen, Bo Horvat, and then Golden Knights, Logan Thompson.
Yep. I mean, I don't really know what to say. I'm disappointed that very worthy individuals did not make it because of how they run the league. And so maybe there'll be an outcry, maybe there won't be. It doesn't really matter all that much. I just hope everyone in the All-Star game stays healthy and it's enjoyable to watch. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, we will have to see. And I also want to talk about the coaches. So you have Montgomery from the Bruins. You have Brenda Moore of the Hurricanes, Pete DeBauer of the Dallas Stars, and Bruce Cassidy. I know DeBauer was pretty close with Rick Bowness, but because the Stars went to overtime, I know he pulled it out. It was like .667 and .663 for Rick Bowness.
Yeah, both of those guys deserve a lot of props for getting their team to how good. That's the 1 seed in the conference and the 3 seed, and they're both back-to-back in the division. I think the move for – and you go Bruce Cassidy with Vegas. All 3 of those teams switched this past year from coaching one team to coaching another.
You have Montgomery, who Bowness took over for because there were issues. Or Montgomery stepped down. He wasn't –
Stepped down, yeah. But
yeah, he stepped down. He wasn't fired, I believe.
Yeah, and all of the if you include Montgomery, all of those 4 coaches came from one of the other teams listed there. So it really shows like sometimes new scenery is all you need, and all of these coaches are great coaches. Sometimes your word just falters, or you don't have the necessary players or a system to run. But I'm really excited to see how these teams move forward. I'm just kind of disappointed that they aren't. Some of their players aren't well represented because you look at Pierre DeBoer and he only has one player for him. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. And I believe there are going to be games as well or skill.
Yeah, skill competitions. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check those out, and then we'll see how the game goes. But we'll see what happens. Let us know what you think. Are you pretty frustrated with it, or you're like, I'm cool with it? Anything else, Austin?
Nope. I hope they hear our complaint.
Yes, we will. We will see what happens. Help us, and thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.